Hello everyone, I am your teacher Ali Muhammad. I welcome you all. In previous topics we have discussed about the Mauryan dynasty, about the Chandragupta Maurya, how Chandragupta Maurya have first of all consolidated his administration and then he established his position in Magadha. After the death of Chandragupta Maurya, his successor was Bindusara. Bindusara ruled from 298 BC to 273 BC. As far as the Bindusara's administration tactics are concerned, he was well versed as like his father. Strabo, the great historian, discussed about Bindusara, one of the event which is great event in the history of India, that he suppressed a revolt in Texla. He sent his son as viceroy of Texla to suppress the revolt. Another important event of Bindusara as a ruler, as a dictator, as an emperor, as a savior of society, he created friendly relations with the foreign rulers. And eventually, during 273, Bindusara died. After his death, a new era introduced in the Mauryan history. There was a war of succession. In the war of succession, the sons of Bindusara started to fight each other for the capture of administration. Ashoka, the son of Bindusara, the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya, succeeded in defeating his brothers and occupied the throne of Magadha. There is a much controversy among the historians regarding the accession and coronation of Ashoka. Tibetan historian Sarnath described that Ashoka ascending throne after defeating his 6 brothers. Dipavamsa, Mahavamsa, Ashokavadana, Divyavadana described the same event, in which they have described that Ashoka killed his 99 brothers and ascended the throne of Magadha in 269 BC. It means the coronation of Ashoka as a king, as an emperor, was celebrated in 269 BC. One of the great events in the life of Ashoka as a ruler was the conquest of Kalinga. During the time of Ashoka, Kalinga was an important independent state. Kalinga was situated presently in Orissa, between Mahanadi and Godavari. Kalinga state was an important state as far as its strategic and economic point of view was concerned. That's why it was the desire, it was demand, it was aim of Ashoka to conquer Kalinga and then to establish his rule in Kalinga. In 261, Kalinga was captured by Ashoka. There is no concrete information available for historians that who was the ruler of Kalinga during the time of war. Megasthenes, the great Roman historian, who writes that the ruler of Kalinga was powerful. He is having 60,000 foot soldiers, 10,000 cavalry, and 700 war elephants. 13th rock inscriptions mention that it was a terrible war. In the war, thousands and lakhs of people were killed. After the war, after the establishment of rule in Kalinga by Ashoka, he realized that what I have done, I have mercilessly killed people in Kalinga. The consequence of the war was that Ashoka left the war strategy forever. The consequences of Kalinga war on Ashoka's life. Ashoka adopted the policy of Dhammagosha in favor of Birigosha. After the war, after the Kalinga war, Ashoka decided to give up the war policy. He was numbed to see the blood streams of war. He decided to give up the policy of war and he declared the policy of Dhammagosha, means declaration of peace. This was the last victory of Ashoka. After that, he led his simple life. Impact on personal life of Ashoka. Before the Kalinga war, Ashoka led a luxurious life. Hundreds and thousands of animals were slaughtered on royal family for his meals. After the war, he led a simple life. He framed laws that animal slaughtering is forbidden. The propagation of Buddhism by Ashoka. These are the consequences after the war of Kalinga I am discussing with you. Propagation of Buddhism. Before the Kalinga war, Ashoka was the follower of Shivism. But after seeing the havoc of war, he embraced Buddhism. Ashoka, in order to spread the message of Buddhism, he sent his missionaries, he sent his Dhamma Mahamatas not only in the parts of northern India but outside India. He appointed scholars, religious teachers who used to taught the values of Buddhism. The Buddhism was based on equality. The Buddhism was based on non-violence. The Buddhism was based on charity, equal rights. That's why Ashoka sent his son and daughter to Sri Lanka for the propagation of Buddhism. For the welfare of the society, Ashoka did many things for his people. He treated his subjects as his own family members. He improved the standard of the life of the society. He worked for the welfare of the society. He established educational institutions to maintain peace and security in his society. For that purpose, Ashoka established his Dhamma. Dhamma means religion. Ashoka is very famous in Indian history, not only as a ruler, not only as a conqueror, not only that he has established a vast empire from north to south, from east to west, but is very famous because of his Dhamma. Ashoka selected the good principles of all religions and entitled a new religion that was in the name of Dhamma. The principles of Dhamma were very simple. The principles of Dhamma were very knowledgeable as far as the humanity are concerned. First, the principle was that to love, to respect elders, to love young ones, religious toleration, peace, equality, to help needy people, to work for the welfare of the society. And the most important teaching of Dhamma was to speak truth, to follow the guidelines of teachers, rulers, elders, and the intellectuals of the society. These principles made Ashoka immortal in the history of India. Weakness in army. This is the important point. After the Kalinga war, Ashoka decided to give up the policy of Birigosha, declaration of war. Before Kalinga, Ashoka was treated as a vicious ruler, a cruel ruler, a dictator, always waiting for the opportunities to defeat his enemies with iron hand. But after the Kalinga war, everything was changed. The consequence, one of the drawback, one of the objective that destroyed the fame and the prosperity and the strength of a Mauryan empire, as historians believed that Ashoka gave up the policy of war, Birigosha. And the result was that the army became very weak. And after the death of Ashoka, his successors were not able rulers. So as army was very weak, inefficient, unprofessional, so it was very easy for the foreign rulers or his opponents to overthrow the Mauryans, to destroy the Mauryan popularity among the people. That became one of the reasons behind the downfall of the Mauryans. Ashoka, after ruling, after stabilizing his administration, giving everything to his subjects what they require, during the reign of Ashoka, his society was economically well off, was prosperous, developed in every respect, whether it was economy, whether it was the political system of Mauryans, because Ashoka have united all his territories, states that have been controlled by Mauryans from the time of Chandragupta Maurya to Ashoka. He have created equality among all. That was one of the important thing among Ashoka. That's why he is known as the great, ever great ruler of Indian history. As far as the religion was concerned, as far as the other things and culture was concerned, Ashoka was phenomenal. He introduced what Ashoka have said, what Ashoka have speak. Everything was recorded in the form of inscriptions that is generally known as edicts of Ashoka. We have number of rock inscriptions that give us information, that become a source, a prime source for historians to know about the ancient period, particularly the reign of Ashoka. As 13 rock inscriptions are very famous, as 14 rock inscriptions are very famous, as Kalinga rock inscriptions are very famous. And you know very well, it was James Prinsep. In previous topics I have discussed about the James Prinsep, who was a historian, a scholar who have deciphered the Ashokan scripts. And today, with the help of James Prinsep, we are able, the historians, the scholars are able to know more about Ashoka, his administration, his era, his political development, his changes, his wars, his conquests and his administration. After ruling 183 years, the Mauryan dynasty was completely vanished. There was the last Mauryan ruler, Brihadara. Brihadara was the last Mauryan ruler who was considered very weak, inefficient. After Ashoka, the successors of Mauryan were very weak, inefficient rulers, not able to stabilize the Mauryan administration. The last was Brihadara, and there was his commander Pushyamitra Sangha. Pushyamitra Sangha killed, assassinated Brihadara and destroyed the Mauryan pride. And after that, these areas, particularly Magadha, it was ruled by a new dynasty known as Sanghas. So dear students, this is all for today. See you in next session. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.